Okay, moving right along. My next job, and I'm not going to be up here long on this because he speaks for himself. This man has graduated college in New York, went to Vanderbilt Law School, got his degree as a lawyer, met his wife, the love of his life, and married her, had 3 children, got a grandchild now, who all of them are the love of his life. He's very dedicated to them. He's very dedicated to the city of Nashville and the state of Tennessee. He went on from there to become public defender for several years. In 2007, became mayor, is that right? Became mayor. He went through the worst depression since the Great Depression in Nashville. Then he went through the great floods, come through that, served second term, pulled him out of it, put Nashville on the road, and when he left office, it was the top growing city in the nation, and had more motels, hotels, and anybody's been to Nashville know it's known as Crane City now because all them cranes in there. And this man right here is the one that done it, and he'll do the state of Tennessee like that, and he'll bring jobs, public education, and medical care to the people of the state of Tennessee and the infrastructure. And that's what we need, and he can do it. Ladies and gentlemen, our next governor and mayor of Nashville, Karl Dean. Let's give him a hand.
Well, thank you, Paul, for that very kind introduction, and it's great to be with you all here. I spent the day in town, and we really had a great day. Paul was sort of my guide. I went to the courthouse. I met with the director of schools. I went and met Mr. Yancey had us over to meet with people in his business, and we went to the administration building, and I had lunch at a great place, Depot Bottom, which was fantastic. And so it was a wonderful day, and I think I saw a community that is strong, a community that believes in itself, and a community that is proud of itself. And I think that is a wonderful thing. Let me tell you why I'm running for governor. I'm running for governor because when I left the mayor's office in September of 2015, after serving 2 terms, I wanted to think about the possibility of running for governor, and I decided I had to really answer 3 questions that were, to me, important. Number 1 was, did I have something to contribute? I don't think you run for office just to hold a title. You run for office because you want to do something to improve the state. You want to move the state forward, and I care a lot about public education. I care a lot about economic opportunity, so I believe I have something to contribute. I had to make sure that my family was on board to go back into electioneering again, and so I have my wife and my 3 children. My 2 daughters still in college, and my son is married and a lawyer in Nashville, and they were all on board. We have a grandchild. Our first grandchild was born on Valentine's Day this year, and so I interpreted her smile as being "Run, Grandpa, run," and so they're fine. And then the next thing was, is there a roadmap to accomplish what we want to accomplish? I mean, I think every time you run for office, and I applaud the candidates who spoke here tonight, you're rolling the dice, you're taking a big step, and there's no guarantee you're going to win. And you have to understand that. That's the way it works. But when you begin the process, you want to know that there's a way to get to where you're going. When I was mayor, I was a big advocate of people getting exercise and getting out and doing things. There's better ways to get exercise than running for office. You want to have a roadmap to get to where you want to be, and that is to win. And I think there is a roadmap here for this campaign. I am convinced that the people of Tennessee want to elect a governor who is going to be somebody with common sense, who's practical, who wants to get things done. Somebody who's going to talk about issues that Tennesseans really care about. Not issues that we have no control about or will only divide us and will not move the ball forward at all. You know, one of the things about being a mayor is that, particularly when I was running in Nashville, you run in an nonpartisan race. So when you run, you need to have Republicans support you, you need to have independents, and you need to have Democrats. And for a mayor, when you look at a problem, you don't look for partisan solutions. You look for things that are going to make the city or the town a better place to live in. Mayor LaGuardia in New York during the Depression had a great saying, there is no Democrat or Republican way about filling a pothole. People want the pothole filled. And somebody said today that these issues that we're concerned about, a lot of these are issues that both Republicans, Democrats, and independents care about. People want quality education for their kids. People want Tennessee to be a state that is moving forward and advancing as being one of the best states in the country for education. People want jobs. People want jobs where there are a future to them, and people want decent health care. So I think those issues are the issues that we should focus on. Now let me talk first about public education. Public education for Tennessee, I think, is a real game changer. It is the thing we have to get right. And we've had two governors in a row, Governor Bredesen, Governor Haslam, have both worked hard on this, and they've made some progress. But there's still a long ways for us to go. Now we need to recognize that it would be great for our state, and we should strive to be a state where a lot of our young people go to college, and that we attract a lot of college graduates to our state. That will help us with employment issues. That will help us move our economy forward, and it will be good for our kids. But we also need to recognize that a lot of young people will decide that they will not go to college. And if that's the case, then we have an obligation to make sure that they have the vocational training, that they have the technical training, or they have the apprenticeships that will allow them to get a job where they can earn a living, raise a family, and have a productive and successful life. And so we can do both of those things. And to do that, we have to make that a priority. And I was very encouraged talking with Bobby Cox, your school superintendent, seemed to have a very good belief in how we can move forward with vocational training. In Tennessee, workforce development is an absolutely key issue. There are thousands of jobs left unfilled because we don't have people trained to take them. I think one of the key issues in education is teachers' pay. One of the things that we have seen, or I have seen, is that it's getting more and more difficult, particularly in rural, small-town areas, to recruit teachers. It's hard to recruit people for science, it's hard to recruit people for math, and then it's hard to retain them when others may be offering more and trying to lure them away. We need, if we're going to really make that jump where we go from where we were up into the top half of the school systems in the country, we're going to have to pay our teachers better to attract them and to keep them. I think it should be a fundamental goal of ours. When I was mayor of Nashville, one of the things I'm proudest of, and it's not necessarily building a convention center or a ballpark or an amphitheater, is that we moved teacher pay in Nashville from 33rd in the state to 3rd. And it makes a difference. And I think that's an important value. Now, economic development, economic opportunity is important. One of the things you learn, I think, when you're in government is that to have a successful city or to have a successful state, you need a strong private sector. You need to have jobs being created, businesses thriving. Number one, for people can have good work. I mean, a job is better than any government program. When people can support themselves and raise their families and make a decent living. But it's also important to have a strong tax base. If you want to have good schools, if you want to have parks and greenways and libraries and all the things that we want, you've got to have a tax base that will support it. And so I think that we work hard on economic development. And one of the things that I think is really important that we do is that we make every effort that we can to extend the prosperity that we have seen in cities like Nashville and Knoxville and Chattanooga. Make sure that it's happening in the rural areas and small towns in our state. In our state, lots of businesses left small towns in the 80s and 90s. And they moved out of the country, or they moved, or they stopped operating. And those jobs have not been replaced. I mean, unemployment may be down, but there are a lot of people driving long distances to work in other counties, and there are a lot of people who have just dropped out of the market for jobs. We need, as a state, to know that it's vital to our future that to maintain the viability of small towns and rural areas. And so what I think we need to do is, number one, make that a priority for economic development, and do that by looking at each county, seeing what their economic strengths are, what their potentials are, and playing to that. I mean, clearly this is an area that has lots of good things going for it in terms of agriculture, lots of good things going for it in terms of its location to other places. It's got lots of good things going for it in terms of its appeal for tourism. And we need to do more to make sure that we're capitalizing that, and the state should play a role that helps you get that done. And so I think that is fundamental. Then healthcare. Right? Healthcare is, this isn't going to be a surprise to you, but if you look at polls, and I occasionally do, but if you look at a poll, you will see that the most important issue to voters in Tennessee right today is healthcare. It's not jobs, it's not schools, it's not crime, the things that you normally would suspect it to be. It's healthcare. And it's healthcare because people are nervous, they're apprehensive, and they know that this is an extremely serious issue for our state. Right? They look at what's going on in D.C. and they don't know whether they're going to have the coverage they once had, or if something goes wrong in their life, whether they're all of a sudden going to be exposed and all of their family assets and their future savings may be lost. There's this apprehension that it's there. It was a big mistake, and I think people are realizing this really almost across the board. It was a huge mistake not to do the Medicaid expansion when the legislature had that opportunity. We have literally not received, which we could have, $3.5 billion. That is money that would have given insurance to people with pre-existing conditions, people who have disabilities, people who are impoverished, young people who are switching jobs. It would have protected our community. It would have made us stronger. And that money didn't just go into some bank account somewhere or saved to be used later. That money went to other states. I mean, and part of that money was your tax dollars. But we, for whatever reason, the legislature didn't take that money. And what's the other consequence of that? Well, the other consequence is that Tennessee has the second most hospital closures of any state in the country. Texas is number 1, we're number 2 with 9. Right? And there are hospitals that are just getting by and sort of on the edge right now. And what does that mean when a hospital closes? Well, the obvious thing is what it means is that you are, if you have a child who breaks his or her leg, if you have appendicitis, if you have a heart attack, the hospital's 30 to 40 minutes away by car. Your lifestyle is damaged, your personal safety, the safety of your family is damaged. What does it mean for economic development? Well, if you're trying to get a company to come to a small town or rural area and open a shop there and hire people, one of the things that's going to be on their checklist of things to look at for relocation is going to be, is there a hospital? And if the answer is no, that is going to make it that much harder to do. If you want your senior citizens to stay in your community, keep families together, be part of the economy of the local community, if you want to attract retirees to your community, that's not going to happen if you don't have a hospital. So those are real economic consequences of these healthcare decisions. And I think this is an issue that we have to have a governor who's going to stand up for this, for the people of Tennessee, try to make sure that we do everything we can to make sure our citizens are protected. Look, I think this is a great state. I mean, I think this state has a wonderful future. I would say without any question, Tennessee's best days are still to come. We have a central location, we've got generally temperate climate, you are the friendliest people that I know. This state values education, we've made it a priority, we need to continue to and make it even a higher priority. Our future is good. And I know that we can work through the issues that we need to work through to get to this great future. I know that we need to remain optimistic. When I first became mayor, it was interesting. In 2007, Nashville was doing well. I mean, we've had good mayors and we had good councils and things were kind of just moving forward steady. And then I take office, and not because I took office, but 8 months later, we go into the deepest recession since the Depression. And you're confronted with a whole series of big decisions, and you have to make them. But what I try to do is, for the things that we care about, the big ones, schools, public safety, economic development, you protect those things. You know, you might have to make some cuts, but you don't cut those things because that's our future. And then we stuck with that, and we went through a flood, and we were able to get through that. But when everything came together, then you take off. Then it booms. Then the jobs start appearing. And so I think it's that belief in just doing the fundamental things of government, taking care of schools, taking care of our health, and taking care of jobs that will move us forward. I would love to have your support for governor. This is a race I definitely think that we can win and will win. KarlDean.com is our website. I would encourage you to go there, and I thank you for this opportunity to speak. And again, I had a wonderful, wonderful day here. This is a truly special place. Thank you.